that his party will not go into coalition with someone who has once wined and dined with the ruling CPDM party. That it was Kabera Lebi talking on a live video. He is the president of the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation. And many people are asking, who was he referring to? And obviously, he was referring to Maurice Kamto. That is my conclusion, because Maurice Kamto is the one moving from one place to another, searching for political party to recognize him or to present him as a presidential candidate, because his party cannot run for the upcoming presidential election. And Maurice Kamto, we concluded that he is the one he was referring to, because he has once been a minister, a delegate to the Minister of Justice and Keeper of the Seal. And with this is a problem to Professor Maurice Kamto. And that is why we are worried. He is so determined to become the president of Cameroon. He is so desperate. And that is my fear with him now, presently, because I hate desperation. Anybody who is desperate can do anything to get into position. And when he will be there, he will spend his time in office to revenge those who were standing on his way instead to help the people of Cameroon. And I keep on blaming Professor Maurice Kamto for all this, because he created this problem to himself. You know, according to the Electoral Code of Cameroon, if your party is not represented at the National Assembly or at the Senate or at the local council, you cannot run for any presidential election under that party. And Maurice Kamto, after the presidential election 2018, decided that his militants would not run for council election, parliamentary election, and senatorial election, that they must change the electoral code. And then they have not changed the electoral code, but he wants to run for the upcoming presidential election 2025, this October. And then people are asking him why. The very electoral code that he asked his militant not to. And then I was very angry, because if Maurice Kamto was very popular in Cameroon by that time, he was very popular, his party was very popular. If Maurice Kamto could have allowed his militant to run for a parliamentary election, he could have been having at least 50 parliamentarians at the National Assembly. Added to others, opposition parliamentarians, there could have been at least 80 of them that can stand up against all the terrible policy that they are taking at the National Assembly. He could have been having at least 30 to 40 council with mayors. He could have been having at least 10 senators. But Maurice Kamto asked them not to. They must change the electoral code. And I was disturbed, because he is a lawyer, an international lawyer for that matter, but did not read and understand the kind of corruption in Cameroon. President Paul Biya is I told you people that President Paul Biya has corrupted corruption. And if you do not reason above normal corruption, you will always fall into this kind of trap. When Maurice Kamto made like that, he knew that if they don't change the electoral code, and then a senatorial election or a parliamentary election, senatorial election or council election always come before the presidential election. He knew that before then, he will allow the militant to, if they fail to change the electoral code, he will allow the militant to run for the council election, and that will give him a way to go. But did not know that President Paul Biya calculated everything two times ahead of him. So when 2024 came out, and then the election calendar was about to, President Paul Biya just signed a decree and say he postponed the parliamentary election and the council election to 2026 after presidential election. That was a problem. That is where the problem is coming from. So now presidential election has to come before the parliamentary election and council election. And the government make it clear that they don't have money to sponsor all the three elections in 1 year. Why not postpone presidential election? He decided to postpone a council and parliamentary election. It was a strategy by President Paul Biya. And that is what I told you people, that CPDM is where corrupt. Where corrupt. It is an organized corrupt institution. They know how to play their games. And if you do not reason above their own mentality, you will always be trapped. And Maurice Kamto has been trapped. He went, when this issue came up, he quickly went to form a coalition with APC of Jean-Michel Ninja. And immediately that rumors went out. Then Atanganjim, the Minister of Territorial Administration, just signed a decree and banned the party of Jean-Michel Ninja. So the party of Jean-Michel Ninja will not run for the presidential election. Obviously, Maurice Kamto, who wanted to join coalition with, would not run for the election. So he has to look for another ways. And another ways left is to run as an independent candidate. But now the government, this thing say at least 50 people from each region have to sign that they want you to run for the presidential election from each region, meaning it will make up at least 500 candidates from each region. So Maurice Kamto now, many people say, no, but that is very easy because he's having candidate militants all over Cameroon. But those 50 people are not just common people. There are government officials. And we know in Cameroon, all government officials are CPDM militants. So the CPDM, they have drawn all strategy. They have put everything together against Maurice Kamto. And he did not know because he kept on holding us throughout from that 2018, moving from one place to another, instead of calculating strategy on how to run for the upcoming presidential election to go ahead of the CPDM. He was moving from one place to another. He is president-elect. President-elect up to the 7 years of President Bobia ended. He is still president-elect without office. These are the people I said they are not politicians. They are not leaders, but politicians. That they are just thinking about election. They don't think about the people. Because if he was thinking about the people, for these 7 years, he could have been everywhere in Cameroon. Everywhere, in all villages, all quarters in Cameroon. He could have put everything together. Plan B, that if it happens this way, I can do this. Maybe even create a fake political parties. A branch, like the CPDM has done. Because there is no way you can hold the CPDM. There are, out of 369 political parties in Cameroon, the CPDM is having at least 50 political parties under that are branches of CPDM. If anything happens with the CPDM, they will run under party B or C. But Maurice Kamto did not know this. Now, he is trapped. He is trapped. Because Kabera Libi already tested what power is all about as a parliamentarian and see how sweet it is. So he cannot give his position for anyone. So out of the 18 political parties that we heard from the Minister of Labour, Gregoire Owonada, they are the only party that are qualified to run for the presidential election. So Maurice Kamto have to do everything possible to convince one of them. And then I know how corrupt CPDM is. They will go ahead of Maurice Kamto and buy all these political parties, give them instruction not to, promise them not to give him any chance. And by this, they will force him out, and he will not participate, except he will prepare to run for 2032. That is the message from the CPDM and from the government in Cameroon. I say people who can change and challenge the CPDM, they are not in Cameroon. From all observation, I believe I am the only one presently now that can change and challenge the CPDM in a way they will not understand, because I always reason 20 times ahead of them. 20. So I'm hoping, I'm praying that God might intervene and I would break Cameroon. Even not 2032 that I'm hoping, I'm planning to run for presidential election, but this 2025.